Lots of kids were excited this Christmas to see new video games and new consoles under the tree, but now might be the time to really think about digging in and setting limits on how long kids are spending with control in hand. In today's Tech Check, a gaming heads up for parents, because for the first time ever, the World Health Organization is adding gaming disorder to its international classification of diseases. Here to talk more about this decision, Desert News columnist Amy Iverson. So to say that out loud, it feels like a big deal to have an actual diagnosis on the table. What's the weight of this?
Yeah, so this is coming in soon. I think next year it will be in their book. And I always have to weight it because, yes, it's a big deal. The American Psychiatric Association does not label it a disease. So, you know, some are saying it is, some are saying it isn't. The Psychiatric Association is saying it's just not a big enough percentage of people who have this problem yet
To call it a problem.
Yeah.
What are the symptoms then? What are we looking for?
Okay,
from the
so these are
perspective?
specific things. Okay, so if you're a parent or you're looking at yourself or your spouse wondering, if you can't control how often you play, if every second you're going to that video game, you can't control how long you play, you can't stop. When you have to do other daily things that you should be doing, then that's an issue.
Okay.
And then the other one that I think is interesting is if you've suffered negative consequences from playing too much, your marriage is suffering, your kids are or you're losing friendships, schoolwork, and you've suffered those negative consequences, yet you continue at the rate you're going, that's a very big symptom.
Is there a gender identification at play? In other words, I'm just going to say it, are men and boys more likely to be addicted, if you will?
You know, they don't have numbers on addiction yet because, again, this is going to be labeled a new disease. But when you look at gamers in general, I would always think it's men. It's men and boys who are playing video games because that's how it is in my household. But actually, there are almost just as many adult women playing. And there are actually more adult women playing than teen boys. Is that a weird statistic?
That is.
So there are a lot of women. My friends are not necessarily gamers, but they're obviously out there.
Who knew? Yeah, they're there. What do we do about it from the parent perspective again?
Well, these are things, Brooke, you and I have talked about before. So I think we have to start when kids are young, when they get that first VTech or whatever it is, and you set those limits. We know that the American Pediatric Association says no screens at all for under 2, right? I'm lenient on that because I had twins, and I'm like, are you kidding me?
Yeah, so not a super practical standard for most parents out there.
But even as they grow, the Pediatric Association says, you know what, make sure that you're setting limits. So they say no more than 1 hour, and if you do an hour or more, make sure it's involved with a parent. You have a daughter who's that age where she's watching screens. So they want you to, whatever it is, whether it's a video game, whether it's a movie, whether it's a TV show, it's something that you're doing with them, and then you're having a conversation about what you're doing.
Over what you're seeing, what you're experiencing.
Yeah, so set those limits early. And I think also being an example for your kids. We know, and you and I have talked about this too, where a lot of kids think their parents are hypocrites because their parents are telling them, get off that video, get off that video, and you are doing the exact opposite on your phone.
So bottom line, Amy, what do you want parents to know?
I want you to know that this could be a serious issue. These are things you have to look at when your kids are little and start setting those limits, teach self-control, be an example, because as they age, it gets much more difficult to set those rules, right? If it's later in their life, though, and they're a teenager, don't think it's too late. You can still go back and say, you know what, we're going to make a contract this year. We're going to make a tech contract. And in my column on desertnews.com, I put a link to that. It's like a family contract that you can do with your kids, even if they're older, that you say, we're starting this 2018 and we're going to make sure we're not addicted to these screens.
New year's, new rules. I think the idea of a family contract is a great idea.
Never too late.
We'll link you over to that article and others Amy has posted over the last few months on our website, studio5.ksl.com. Thank you so much.